Thank you so much for joining me on New Mexico in Focus today to talk about the proposed merger between your two companies. This is a super complicated issue, and I'm really looking forward to having kind of a plain language talk about these really complicated issues. Pat and Don, I'd love to start with you. Why does PNM need this merger? Why is this so important for PNM?
Well, Laura, and thank you for your time today, and we will endeavor to get rid of our normal acronyms, which we all use. PNM started looking around and surveying the energy landscape, and as you know from your work, it's incredibly complicated. The issue of climate change is paramount, and the faster we can transition our portfolio, the better. Technology is becoming more and more interesting and more sophisticated. And you really need to be a large company with a lot of money on your balance sheet in order to help keep costs low for customers. And while PNM is a large company in terms of New Mexico, we are a very small utility in the United States. So we started looking around for someone that had all the things that we wanted in a merger partner, someone that had the same values that we did in terms of respect for our environment, for our communities, our employees, and our culture here in New Mexico and communities, someone that had a big balance sheet, and someone that had technological expertise. And we looked around and surveyed all of the utilities in the United States and ended up working with Avangrid because we thought they were the perfect fit for all those things I listed. And Avangrid happens to be majority owned, 80% owned by a company in Spain called Iberdrola, which is a world leader in renewables and technology and has a very strong balance sheet and a credit rating. So it was sort of a marriage made in heaven. Took a little romance, but we thought that it made sense because they want what's best for New Mexicans just as we want what's best for New Mexicans.
So Pedro, thanks for joining us. What is kind of your elevator pitch for the current PNM customer? How will this merger benefit PNM customers?
If you want to make sure that the people have the best quality of service, it's not only us. I think a lot of people can do that. But if you want to make sure it's the best quality of service at the cheapest price, unless you have critical mass, it's impossible. Okay, we have 32 million customers. Imagine our purchasing power to buy things. PNM has, a million, less than a million. So from that point of view, it's impossible you can buy things that will allow to give that service at the same prices. SAP, substations, wires, everything. So we all need to become together. And that's why the angle, I think, for a customer in New Mexico, for me, is very simple. We're going to make sure that PNM and the customers benefit from our size. Second, the balance sheet. I think Pat mentioned that. As an example, PNM has right now in the holding company $1 billion of debt. We are happy to take that billion to our holding company in the US, okay? We already have in the US operations more or less 4 times the size of PNM. So we are already a very big company in the US. We own 8 utilities. I said the same thing every time when I bought a utility, when we merged with new companies. We want to be local, but our balance sheet, every single time, we acquired a utility, the rating went up by 1 notch. If your rating goes up, basically the cost goes down. So the ratepayers benefit. This $1 billion of debt that you have in the holding company PM right now will move to Avangrid holding company. Imagine what it is for New Mexico to have $1 billion less of debt. Otherwise, that will have to be taken care of by New Mexico over many years, as you can imagine. And third, I think the customers, we believe, the green world has no comeback. I think, we started fighting in that world 20 years ago when nobody was fighting. So I think, we were very alone 20 years ago fighting against a lot of people, against a lot of companies, a lot of governments. Everybody now is very green. So it's very easy to be green right now. But I can tell you, COP26 last week and 2 weeks ago, we were the guys there fighting, to make sure there was an agreement. I think, Biden, signed President Biden, a bill 2 days ago. Iberdrola Avangrid was there. We were, probably the only energy company invited. Why? Because they know we are the guys fighting to make sure the world moves in a totally different direction. So we prove it, we want to do it, but we prove it, we have it done. So I think there are many reasons why we believe, we are the right partner for PNM, and we also run the companies locally. I know many US companies, when they go abroad, they send 100 Americans people to run it. The Chinese, they send 1,000. The Germans. In our case, it's very simple. Check our management in the US right now. It's all Americans. There may be one guy who is not American, one lady, perhaps I'm missing one or two, but the rest are Americans. And if they're not Americans, are the best we can find, okay? How we're gonna be running, PNM, you have Don there right now. We expect, Don, to be the person taking the decisions. You can call our CEOs, the presidents of the other utilities, and ask them how they run the utilities. They are the people in charge.
If the merger were to go through, what are some of the short-term and then the longer-term plans for renewable energy in New Mexico? Some of the changes we might see.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're already on the path, and we've proposed to be, carbon-free by 2040. We'll look at it as part of the merger to be there by 2035. And so, as Pat said, we need battery technology, and we need other technology to come along to kind of fill the gap. And that'll be important, but we're all confident with the dollars and the money that's going in that will happen. And so, in the near term, it's continuing to look for those renewable resources, whether they're battery, wind, or solar. At the same time, it's balancing our reliability. We absolutely have to be reliable, and so we'll continue to balance that. But as we look in the future, you'll see an energy sector, and it's not just in New Mexico; it'll be in the West. But I'm convinced there'll be new technology along there as well, too. So the battery, the wind, the solar, pump storage is another element, but there's a whole different other set of factors that are out there that will continue to, as innovation continues to kick in. I know that Iberdrola is heavily invested in, they've been doing this for 20 years. They were well in front of the curve in Europe, and they've invested and they continue to invest in new technology. So that will be one of the huge benefits we get, is we can leverage some of that technology that they're well down the path on.
Pedro, could you talk about some of the specifics we might see on the ground? And also if that electricity generated by renewable sources is for New Mexicans, if it's for export, kind of what we're looking at.
I think when you think about New Mexico, what can you see? Immediately, we have the resources to talk to the governor, to talk, to the other parties, to talk to the public commission, do it, outside of regulation, inside of regulation. There are many options. Texas needs energy. California needs energy. Mexico needs energy. So it's a question of what do you want to do? We are, transmission builders. There is need for transmission everywhere because the electricity, the sources are there, but there is not connected when the consumption is. So the question is what New Mexico wants to benefit from. If you want to benefit from some things, don't let just people to build the assets, own them, and be somewhere else. Make sure they become locals. That's what we want to do, to create a hub in New Mexico that, the employment, the economic development remains there. We have done that in the past. Everywhere we were going to do offshore. You see the offshore wind development right now in the US. Well, I think we're going to be one of the 3-4 players in the US doing offshore wind. Well, we're going to need a lot of, backup work, engineering work, centers, et cetera, et cetera. We have, control centers in Glasgow. We have control centers in Toledo, Spain. Okay, you don't need to have that where the offshore wind assets are. Of course, we're going to have things in Massachusetts. Of course, we will have things, in the Carolinas, but we will have other things in other places. So I think we will bring the opportunity for New Mexico to start doing things that otherwise you will miss, that wave. I think we're the type of people can help New Mexico to be part of those, cakes ahead of us.
So we talked to a reporter recently at the Bangor Daily News in Maine. Avangrid's been there for about a decade now. And one of the issues that she pointed out was problems with billing, especially after a batch of serious storms. And in a recent story, the Spanish press covered that customers saw their bills increase by 35% in July. I think these are the kinds of things that make New Mexicans a little bit nervous. Can you assure customers in New Mexico that these same kinds of problems with customer service or rate increases won't happen here?
Okay, I think let me just go one by one, because I think it's important to make sure that we explain what it is, because the way you put it there is not really what's happening. The first thing is we changed the billing system in Maine. If you ask any utility operator, when you change a billing system, you have a real mess, okay? But we have to do it, and it was the time to do it. It's now 19 months non-stop with no issue, zero. So if you want to speak about 2 years ago and 3 years ago, when we changed the billing system, I agree, but we have to do it. And we're very proud how the work was done by the local people. And we put additional efforts, 19 months with no issue. So we're very comfortable about what it is and not is. Second, you're referring to a rate increase. We are right now, going to the Public Commission in Maine because the rate increase coming ahead now is because of the generation piece of the bill. It's not because of the networks, okay? Because of gas prices, because of other reasons, the generation piece, what we call the supply piece, has gone up materially. It's not because of the networks. And also you have transmission projects in New England that are allocated, to Maine because they benefits, later from that. Mm-hmm. Again, that's not because of, central Maine power. So that's another example why, it's not what we are doing. It's things that you have to put in the bill for other people. Third, we had, very strong opposition, from, some legislatures in Maine, to a transmission line from Canada into Massachusetts. That is funded by the fossil and nuclear operators in the region. They don't want any new generation there. Why? If you bring hydro, it's very cheap. If you don't bring any electricity into New England, the prices remain very high. You make a lot of money. So that's why the opposition we have had to the line is funded by fossil generators that they want to make sure nothing is built. Nothing. No new generation, no transmission lines to bring power, et cetera, et cetera. In Maine, we are the best operator in reliability and service by far. If you compare us with Maine, Emera Maine, who, by the way, was approved by the Public Commission, to buy, as you know, a utility in New Mexico, we are much better operator than they are from reliability, everything. And the Public Commission approved them. That's why we're very comfortable. If you look at the penalties, not in Maine, but in New England, I think we have probably the lowest, and penalties is because of the regulatory system. The penalties can be negative or actually rate increases. Okay, so you have both, and we have both situations. We are the best and the lowest penalty in New York, in Connecticut, and in Maine, as I told you, we are the best, operator. And finally, in terms of storms, I mean, we got, last year, the prize, for the best storm reaction operator in the Northeast. Please keep in mind, in Maine, in New England, in New York and Connecticut, you used to have one hurricane every 5 years. We're having 2 or 3 major storms now a year. The infrastructure is probably 50, 60 years, 70 years old. I think we're very proud to be received those awards. I think we have been congratulated by the governors, in those states. We have been put as an example in Connecticut and in Maine. And I think in the case, in Connecticut, New York, and in the case of Maine, as I said to you, we're already 19 months with no issue because of the change in the billing system.
Right. Well, thank you, all 3 of you, so much for talking with me today. I appreciate the chance to walk through some of these really complicated issues.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura.